I will take a moment to introduce myself and then pull up the agenda, and then we will go to the next step in terms of asking for addresses, and then have our two presenters who are on present so that we are respectful of their time. So my name is Monique Hardin Cordero, and I am the co-chair of the Cannabis, Task Force. And I want to welcome all of those members of Community Board who are joining us, and our guests, as well as our presenters. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. What I would like to do, and what I was trying to do, is share the agenda with everyone. And before I even, so let me see if I can find the agenda, because then what I would like to do is to call the meeting to order. And then we'll be ready to go. And I'll give the exact time to do that. I don't know why my agenda is not showing up. So give me one moment, everybody, because I know it's here. Okay. All right, there it goes. So let's try once more. Okay, so for those who can see, hopefully, this is the agenda for this evening. It's pretty short and sweet. We try to keep things moving in an effective and efficient way. So I said welcome. I would have even asked some of the other members on our committee to introduce themselves, and maybe if they ask questions, they can do that for us to save time. But I'm going to call the meeting to order. The time to call the meeting to order is 6:42. And I also have sent out minutes to those on our committee. And since this is a task force, I don't think we necessarily have to go over the minutes. But if you have questions about what was written or comments, then I would say we should accept the minutes as is, barring any changes, which I don't believe there are any changes necessary to the minutes. Are everybody in terms of our committee okay with that?
So moved.
Thank you so much, Daria. Okay. So with that said,
There
before
has to
we
be a
ask our,
second.
I'm sorry, what?
I
There
second
has
the
to be a
motion.
second.
Oh, thank you, Solomon. I appreciate that. So what I was going to say is before we ask our first presenter to speak, which is Valenska, who joined us last month, and she'll explain a little bit more about her role. And I guess those on the call who are applying for a business in our community, you probably will find this presentation useful. So it's fortuitous that you were able to join us. And then, so before we ask her to speak, can we please get those who are on here joining us to share, as requested by our committee member Daria Hardiman, your address. And let me see if I can ask the first person who I guess, what is it, Lotus? Can you share the address of your potential location? And I believe the question asked by our committee member was whether or not you had secured the space.
Hello everyone. My name is Misael Montas, and yes, the name of the legal business is Lotus LLC, but we are doing business as Flower Fire Petal. And the answer is no to the location. We have submitted an application for a provisional license, which give us 12 months to find a location. And as per pursuant to the regulations, we should be submitting a notice of municipality to the committee, to the community board, anywhere between 30 days to 252 days prior to the submission of the application. However, because the last round that just occurred
Mhm.
in two parts was short notice, they allowed for the submission, the request for the notice to be submitted after the application was submitted. So for between the October 4th and November 17th, that's the qualifier for those who do have a location, and the deadline for the provisional license, which is a category that we fall under. My partner, Hector Gerardo, Freedom, that deadline was December 18th. So that we're filing under the provisional, and we were recommended that we went ahead and move forward with submitting a notice to the municipality, so that we can hopefully in the near future get on your agenda to discuss further about opening a business in the community.
Okay, you said Freedom. Freedom is on here. Freedom is with you. I see somebody with the name Freedom. Is that-
Yes, Freedom is that is my business partner, Hector Gerardo. I believe he introduced himself a little earlier.
I heard a lot of voices, so I wasn't
Okay,
sure.
no
I wasn't
problem.
sure. I wasn't sure who was speaking, quite frankly. So, okay, and who else is on there? Okay, and Robin, Robin,
Yes.
good,
Gould, hello.
Gould. Okay, your address, please.
Our address is, the address is 445 West 125th Street.
Okay, so you're on the bus, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and have you secured that space?
Yes.
Okay. And is there another entity on here?
Other than on the bus?
Well, is somebody else on here with you, Robin?
No.
Okay, so you're here by representing your
Oh, on this
somebody by your-
meeting, I'm with Jennifer
Okay.
Cabrera. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was confused with the question.
No, it's okay. I wasn't clear. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay. So now is there another entity on here in terms of the applicants for business? So there's only two businesses on here. On the bus and Loaded Lotus LLC.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, so it sounds like definitely on the bus, we'll be touching base with you because you said you've secured your space.
Yes.
And in terms of the other entity, it seems like you are, you're in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're waiting to get queued on the list.
Okay. So Daria, I see that you're unmuted.
Yes,
Okay.
may I speak?
Yes, you may
Is
speak.
it okay?
Yes, go ahead, Daria.
Okay, thank you. If you remember, if you recall, we already voted on the bus in general board, so that matter has already been commented on.
Right, and
And
yeah, go ahead.
so it would be, I mean, if we just want to hear from them, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's a moot point. It's a moot point.
Right.
And very respectfully. And the other entity, unless OCM has changed its rules again, as we heard from them when they attended our meeting, you do not have to give a notice to the municipality, and we are not to comment on them until they actually have a space secured.
Okay,
That was said out of OCM's mouth.
that's right. It was. So,
So
So-
really, both of the entities that are here don't actually need to be addressed. I don't think I'm gonna get it.
right. That is true.
Um,
It's fine. Sorry, Derek, because I can't see you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm listening. I didn't say anything.
Okay, got you. So,
I'm gonna mute again if you, there's noise in my background and I don't want to, be disruptive.
thank you, Daria. So for the two businesses that are on, and as you heard from my fellow committee member, and for Lotus, you don't basically we're glad that you came before us, because once again we are looking to be supportive for those who are taking the legal path to establishing a business. And so once again, once you have secured your location, we would be very interested in speaking with you further, because right now you're basically waiting.
Yes, and I mean, I can't really rebuttal what the committee members stated regarding about what OCM stated to you guys in a meeting.
Mhm.
But I just recently spoke to them yesterday,
Okay.
and I told them where I was in the process, and they told me that I needed to submit that notice to you guys. So I'm
Yes.
not. So I'll just double check with them and make
Okay.
sure that where if I need to do that a little later down the road or what's the deal. But when I spoke to them yesterday, they told me to go ahead and submit that notice of municipality to the community board. So that's what I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very good. Okay, and I'm reading. Okay, very good. So both of you are welcome to stay on, because as I said, we have two great presenters. And then, oh, I see a hand that's up. Yes, Jennifer?
Oh, hello. I'm here with On the Bus. I did not know that On the Bus had been previously voted on, and there's no record of it in the December minutes. I was curious what was voted on and
Um,
that.
we can follow up with you if you would like, and you can at the end of the meeting come back in and we can discuss discuss it with you further, rather than having a conversation in front of the other business.
Okay, has anything been sent by email about this? Because this is the first we're hearing.
Right. We responded in terms of communicating with the office of OCM.
Got it. Okay, so should we join then at 8:30?
You can join at 8:30.
It'd be better to email or have a discussion another time.
You could I would say try to come back in and ask where we're at in terms of the meeting, so that we can determine if we can let you in. We just want our two presenters to present, and certainly we can speak with you after they're done, because we have work as a committee that we are looking to address. So we'll probably try to do that, but be
Maybe
respectful.
you could tell us now then, because we weren't able to present at the last
I
meeting.
think out of fairness, it would be best to speak to you and just you and Robin, and not speak to you in front of the other applicant.
Well, just because it was voted at a public meeting last month, I assume it is public
Actually,
information.
It is public record.
And it's not in the meeting minutes, so I'm curious where I could find it.
right. Once
It's
again,
in the,
go ahead.
it's in the full board minutes. But
Right.
this was supposed. I'm sorry, I got kicked off, so I don't know what you decided. But are we still gonna have? I mean, neither one of these applicants, respectfully to them, it's kind of time that does not need to be spent at this particular meeting.
Oh.
Um,
Oh my gosh, hold on.
but because one applicant is not supposed to be before us yet, and the other applicant has already been voted on, But I don't know what you said because I got disconnected.
Oh, what I
Um,
said, what I
Sorry.
said, what I said was that we usually try to speak to applicants one at a time. And I said that.
Right, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I said that we had sent our response to OCM. And I said that we could speak to them and have them step out of the meeting and come back in so that we're speaking just to them and no one else.
Okay, so you're still going to interview them?
I wouldn't interview them. We can speak with them to let them know what our comments were.
I'm just confused because we weren't able to present, and
Right.
apparently there was a vote that was taken at a public meeting, and I'm trying to find a record of that vote.
Right. So we sent the resolution to OCM.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, we can discuss it further with you.
You send it to us?
Sure. I'll look for the information to send it.
Please send that to us. That directly concerns our application, and this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. So with that said, Valencia, do you
Yes.
want to present?
Yes, absolutely. How are you guys?
Mhm.
My name is Velasca Rodriguez, and I'm representing Cannabis NYC. I'm representing a small department from SPS, or a small business services from the Department of NYC Business Solutions. And my role these days is to conduct and guide every applicant that is want to get involved into this amazing opportunity that the city of the state it embargoes to go into Cannabis NYC. And to these days, people don't know that the city is extremely invested into give resources and lead people to want to open their businesses to invest all these hello.
No, I didn't say anything, Valencia. I was going to ask you, do you have a PowerPoint you want to share, or are you doing a presentation?
I kind of want to do it, but I don't know why it's not showing. So
Oh, I probably have to allow you. I have to make you co-host. That's why.
exactly. So,
yeah.
so that's exactly what I was like. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So I can do that.
Okay, cool. So if you could do that, I can just give me 1 second because I had it and then I did it.
No problem.
Give me a minute. Yes. Yeah, I have my PowerPoint and my stuff. So give me 2 seconds on this. Good. Yeah, but oh no, I didn't want this. So give me a minute.
No problem. Deborah, do you have a PowerPoint you'll be sharing as well so that I can make
No,
you?
ma'am, I just have some flyers.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you'll share updates when your time comes.
Correct. Oh yeah. So sorry, give me 1 second.
Hi, Chris. I didn't see you earlier. How are you? Good. Thank you for joining us.
If you
So,
want, Monique.
Yeah, do my best, do my
I
best.
could go ahead and put the information forward while Valencia is putting up her PowerPoint, if that helps.
yeah, please do
Okay.
something
You want
interactive.
so you want to let her go, Valencia?
Yeah, can I just give me like a minute or something?
Okay.
Someone else can just do that before.
Okay, no problem. So Deborah, um, I had asked you to join us to share some updates, and to share any updates regarding any upcoming programs and the work that you're doing to collect data in the community around this particular subject matter and issue.
So thank you, Monique and committee. My name is Deborah Levine. I'm the Community Engagement Officer for the City University Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy, and we have been working with communities and our elected officials to sort of help gather knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs about what community members want. We've been working on a mapping project, and we've done some survey work. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have continued to crunch that data for community boards 9, 10, and 11, which will give us some more data about what people are thinking and feeling. We are also in the process of developing a cannabis educational webinar series focused on social services and public health. And that should be launching in the next couple of weeks. We're also doing a watch party, which I will drop into the chat, for Canna Act, which is a conference that will be held January 29th, 30th, and 31st. We'll be doing a watch party here at the school, and it's really looking at the intersection between cannabis and public health. The other project that we are in the process is an expungement leading with justice webinar series. And I'll drop that also in there. Part 1 dropped this week, and we had 2 attorneys talking about expungement and the intersection of public health and the impact in the community. The recording is already up, and part 2 and part 3 will be rolling out. So I'll be happy to drop that in the chat, and thank you very much, folks.
Any questions to Deborah? And sorry, Deborah, while the thought is in my head, the results from the survey, can you share how long you've been trying to collect the data, and then when do you expect those results to be available?
So we're in the process of doing the analysis now. And it takes a minute because it's a small team, and the school is really pretty much volunteering its resources to do this. So we hope within the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to present the data and write the article that goes with it. We are student driven, so a lot of the work that we do is dependent on the cycles and the time frame. We're also partnering with OCM to do a in-person workshop around medical cannabis. And I'll drop that also into the chat for folks to register.
Yeah, very good. A whole host of things you guys are doing at the Harlem Health Initiative, and we're very lucky to have you in our CB doing all this wonderful community impact work, academic and community impact work. I had the opportunity to sit in on the first session on expungement. I believe that's what it was. And you had some really wonderful speakers, and I learned a great deal from listening, and I believe that's been recorded and that is available.
Yes, so it's on our YouTube channel. I'll drop the link in also for folks who want to go back to part 1. I mean, really just also for your applicants, it's not about us telling people what to do, but really giving them the science to make informed decisions. So we want to help with survey work. We want to help with designing to make sure that the work that we're putting out there is culturally competent, and that we're leading with justice in the work that we do, so that equity is important for our communities. So I'll drop the link in for part one. And if there's anything else I can do, I'll put my contact information in the chat also.
Very good. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it. And everything you guys are doing at the Harlem Health Initiative. Any questions from anyone else besides myself? I don't want to be the only talking head.
And all the events are free. And for those that need continuing education, our webinar series will also allow you to do continuing education for professional development.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, next, Valentika, are you ready to share?
Well, I wasn't able to transfer my information. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. But I'm just saying that our we're part of the small business services in this city. Our department is called Cannabis NYC. It is run by Dashita Dawson, and then she is the head of our department, going towards the fact that she wants to make sure that everyone in the New York state, New York city, it is covered in everyone it has the opportunity to have the services that we offer. So we're trying to obviously run to the fact that the OCM is open the
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Dick.
Sorry. I was on the link.
Open the opportunity in October to apply for these licenses, and then the licenses were like for everyone that it wanted to apply, if it was determined to be a cultivator, a processor, distributor, or just open a dispensary or micro businesses, that those are the ones that are more applied to the New York City areas. So we were hired to conduct them in a guidance to all the application process, because it was a very robust application. So at the same time that we did that, we are supporting them after the fact that cannabis is now federally legal. So we're trying to figure it out how every one of these applicants or licensees can have the resources that they are looking for to have a success business. So in this small period of time, we have been able to get all these resources, communicate with elected officials, communicate with the community, communicate with community boards as yours, and explain what is the robusted, as I mentioned before, application process, and what it entails also have a business as a cannabis business, a legal one in the area, as we want for them to be
to pursue.
It is exactly, but we don't want any more illicit shops. We just want the legal one to step up and be part of the community.
So you work in conjunction, or you said Dashita. So Cannabis NYC. So you're a small division of that, of Cannabis NYC? That's the understanding?
Correct.
Okay, and you're available to offer services, consultation to those who are trying to pursue a legal path?
Correct. One-on-one, any consultation, if it's they want to do it like multiple of their friends or people are applying to different ones, we also can do that. Like we can just gather them around and put them together and like we consult for all of them. So yeah, we can just consult for anyone that need guidance on open the dispensaries or their businesses in New York State, especially in New York City these days.
And so what is the best way for someone who is trying to pursue a legal path to contact you and to set up an opportunity to get to access your services so that they are able to pursue a legal path with as little challenges as possible? Because we know that this process has been very choppy and bumpy for everyone involved, not just the applicants, but even those on the community boards who are also looking to try to be as supportive as possible. It's just been bumpy. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
There are multiple ways. One of them is if you call 311 and you get them the zip code that you want to get help with, they're directly let you know what is the best assistant on cannabis that I can guide you through. And with the zip code, you will get land to the cannabis account manager that is assigned to that zip code. Two, you can just go through the Cannabis NYC, and they have a series different territories and account managers as well that they can do that. And then three, I will say that we all have territories, and at the same time, like SBS as at Cannabis NYC has every one of us disclosed. And also I can share my information into the chat, and I can just, if you want me to, I can just disclose my information as well. My number is 212-749-0900, extension 144. My name is complicated, but that will be right now the best is.
Okay.
It's complicated, but it will be the easiest way to contact me right now. But I
Right.
can just also share my information into the chat.
So you should do that. Can you please share your information in the chat so that if there are people who want to follow up with you, they can?
Absolutely. Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
But there's like many ways that you can contact us. And then the city will allow you to do that in any shape or form. Like even when you go to the OCM website, when they want to allocate people that want to guide you through the process of applying for any other licenses, if you put your zip code, it will go through us.
Okay.
So yes, but absolutely, I will definitely give my share my information into the chat.
Got it. Are there any questions from community board members to ask Valenska in terms of her role? No? What about some of the other people who, oh, I see faces appeared, so I don't know if that means you want to ask her a question, be it community board members or even some of our guests. All right, well then, Valenska, why don't you put your information in the chat so people can.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I just like I'm trying to get into the chat and I cannot get it.
You can't get it in. Oh,
Give me
okay.
1 second. Yeah, okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Into the chat. Yeah. Okay, I'll get it right now. Alaska.
I mean, unless you want me to type it in for you.
No, I'm typing it in.
Okay. No problem.
Uh,
Okay. We see your name, so that's good.
I forgot my
Your email and your phone number.
correct extension 144.
And I would say to write down the name of your office, so that people know where you are affiliated.
Cannabis NYC. Cannabis account manager
Mhm.
and B Rodriguez. 1 second. I forgot my email. To be honest with you.
Oh, I see.
Give me a second.
I can type it in. I think I have your information.
No, yeah, but I forgot it. I don't want to miss it.
Okay. Um,
Give me 1 second.
okay. So, if there are no more questions after Valenska, types in her email address, we can, go back and, try to speak with, our guests.
Thank you, Monique Committee. If there's anything else that we can do, we'll see you next month. Appreciate the time.
I do, I do, as well as our committee
And
appreciate.
I hope you'll come and join us for the webinars and in the in-person trainings. And if we can help the applicants in any way with data and better understanding the needs of the community, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Have a good evening, Deborah. Thank you. Did you find it, Valenska?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Give me
No
1 second. Business.
So yes, I have a
Not for
question.
any, I was gonna say, do any of our guests have a question?
I have a question, yes.
Go ahead.
So, like I mentioned earlier, I'll be double checking with OCM in regards to my submission to get on your agenda.
Yes.
So at that point, once I'm able to get some guidance from them, do I just reach out to you guys via
Yes.
email?
Yes, you should reach out to, once you reach out to OCM, they will forward the municipality notice to us, and then it,
Yeah, but that was supposed to be sent to you guys directly, not to them. I haven't sent them that notice because I'm not supposed to send it to them.
we didn't get anything to know that you were in the pipeline. I usually get it through a member of our office team, and so that was
Right.
sent it.
So I've been speaking with Hakil since last week,
Uh-huh.
and he made mention that he was going to also notify you guys regarding my outreach, and that's all. I understand the process, but there are some nuances that I'm not aware of, and I'm here to learn and just and take it one step at a time. So I great, and first and foremost, I do want to say that I did know that I was not on the agenda, but Hakil suggested that
Yeah.
I can just come and introduce myself, and then hopefully, for the next one, we'll be able to chat a little further.
That's right.
All right.
Yes,
I thank you all for your time.
Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Hector, right? Are you Hector?
My name is Misael, and my partner is named Hector.
Oh, I didn't.
I'm
Okay.
Hector.
Oh,
I'm
you're
Hector.
Hector. Okay. And your name is Misael?
Misael.
Misael. Got it.
Yes.
Very nice name. I don't want to butcher it.
Thank you. And I'm from Grant Houses, so you have to
Oh, okay.
talk to me.
Okay. Of course.
All right.
No,
We
All
both
right.
we got
we
to
both grew up in the 90s in grand houses, so we are a
Okay.
product of the community.
So first of all, I'm glad that you introduced yourselves. We got somebody here from Grand Houses on our committee. And so that's the first thing to say, thank you, welcome. And
Yes.
certainly we meet every fourth Thursday of the month. So, you should definitely come back so that we can do you right and have you on the agenda. So the next time we'll be meeting will be February 22nd. That's the fourth
Yes.
Thursday. And as I said, we have a format that we try to use. And so we would be able to have you set up and engage in a conversation so we get to know you further, because that's what we want to do.
All right. Thank you so much. And best of luck to the other entity. And to you all, have a good night.
Thank you both. Be
Yes.
safe.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. Now, Valenska, I think you shared all your contact information. So you're, if there's nothing else, you can certainly, you don't have to stay on.
No, that's fine. Thank you for having me.
So have a good
Have a-
night.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. One of our committee members, she's not on yet. I mean, we can certainly start, Jennifer and Robin, speaking with you. And good evening once again, and thank you for coming out.
Thank
I
you for
know
having us.
So I know I had reached out to Robin last month. She wasn't able to join us, and then I had asked her if she was going to be able to join us this month. I know I checked pretty recently to look to see if she was still joining us, and I don't recall seeing a response saying that you were joining us tonight, which is why I didn't put you on the agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I
So
thought there was confirmation that I would be here.
no, there wasn't. Because once again, what we try to do is open the meeting up, meet with applicants,
Of
and
course.
have one person come in at a time to be respectful and to engage. And
Sure.
then after that, we also, because you sent your notice, we received your form notice to the municipality, we also start doing our research and our work in terms of looking at the address of where somebody has applied and look at what is going on in terms of that address, because we know there are certain parameters that OCM has put forth when a place is being established as a legal dispensary. So Jennifer, I will, because I'm trying to moderate the meeting, I know I'm trying to be respectful with time and move stuff along.
Understand.
But I will share with you what we sent, because based on the information that was in the application for your location, the first thing we do with the address is look at where the place is going to be situated and what is nearby, because there are certain parameters that are stated when the legal dispensaries are set up. And so I know some of the criteria in terms of what OCM has on their their documentation in terms of the establishment of adult dispensaries is, for example, you're supposed to not be, more than, or you're supposed to be 1,000 feet away from any existing, I believe, establishment or something of that nature. We don't have that many, right? So that's like something that is moving along. But some other areas of concern, for example, you're supposed to be 200 feet away from a house of worship, or 500 feet away from some sort of primary or a school, a place or location where there might be children. So in the case of your application, based on your location, because we go and check out when the application comes to us, we check out the location. So based on your location, one of the things that we found to be a concern is that, one, it's near a house of worship. There's a house of worship on the corner, not far from where you are proposing to establish your location. So so that's the first thing. The other thing is actually next to the Manhattan Borough President's office. So I don't know if you realize that. Have you been to the location that you're proposing to establish your place?
I've been there before, but not recently, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the discussion we had as a committee, Jennifer. Those things came up, and based on those things, that presented a concern for us, particularly being near a house of worship. So we submitted our concerns to the Office of OCM, and those were the concerns that were expressed in our last meeting. So I will pull it up and I'll share it with you. Once again, this is all new and we're trying to figure it out. And I did reach out to OTM to ask them, once we have made comments, what is the protocol to share with an applicant? Because once again, OCM is going to do what they do, and we know that they use a lottery system to make a decision. So there is no guarantee whoever comes before us is going to actually get the establishment that they're looking to set up. So I know we have no control over that as a community board, but we could certainly share a concern if we have one. Carlton, your hand is up. That's a real hand. Is your hand up? No. Okay. Okay. Solomon's hand is up. Okay, Solomon.
Yeah, I just want to add we had to provide comments to OCM because we were approaching the 30-day deadline. So we had to make comment on it. I know the task force did its research on the location. We don't have a real say in terms of whether someone gets a license or not. All we're asked to do is to provide comments on a particular applicant, whether or not we feel it may be suitable for that particular location.
Right. And thank you, Solomon, for making that other comment as well. Yeah, there's a deadline that we are also, as a community board, obligated to follow under, and we try to do our best to follow under. Carlton, did you have a comment?
Yes, this is Robin. You got 445.
Wait, Carlton, sorry, you sound a little choppy. Just want to let you know.
You're at 120, you got 445 West 100.
We can't hear you.
I was saying, at 445 West 125th Street. They can't hear me?
I think you're asking the address is 445 West 125th Street. The cross streets are Morningside and Amsterdam. Yeah,
I live right across the street. I know exactly where it's at. My question was, have you ever decided to get a letter of support from Mark Levine's office, the Manhattan Borough President office, or did you send them a letter of intent that you would be there and like 2 or 3 doors down from them?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
This is the office on 120. This is a few blocks away, right? On let me pull it up. What's the cross street? on
So
Adam
all
Payne
she's-
Powell Boulevard.
She's 3 doors down from Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine's office space. He has a storefront with staff and everything. So my question once again was, did you ever try to get a letter of support from Manhattan Borough President office, or did you send the Manhattan Borough President office a letter of intent that you would be up for 45 minutes?
We're not allowed to get letters of support from government officials like that. They wouldn't be allowed to provide that. And we followed the OCM's guidance, which is to provide notice to the community board and to the OCM. It just would be it wouldn't be customary, and I wouldn't expect a response from the borough president's office if we did that. They could get in trouble if they expressed favor for one applicant. But I was unaware that there was a storefront near them. I'm only aware of the office that's about a half mile away.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question asked by Carlton. So sorry, I had to take that call. You know, Murphy's Law, everything happens at the same time. So, yeah, so I had expressed the concern in terms of the house of worship, and Carlton, I don't know what he said.
It was asking about proximity to the borough president's office.
Right.
I didn't know there was a storefront on our block. I'm only aware of the one that's about a half mile away on.
Okay.
And the house of worship that you're talking about, that's like all the way down the street though. That's not less than 200 feet though.
No, it's on a corner, and I
Yeah.
believe, yeah, I mean, it's close enough to your location that it presented a concern. And once again, because I'm going back and looking at the distance, for houses of worship, 200, if you want to be more than, 200 feet from a house of worship. So, my understanding is it's pretty close, and we walked over there, and my chair is not on, but I know he made it his business, the chair of our board, to go over there. So that's why.
Yeah, and just to give you some insight, the borough president's office is at 431 West
Thank you.
125th Street.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Solomon.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the comments we submitted to OCM. And as I said, ultimately, they'll make the decision in terms of your application. And that's it. I mean, in terms of comments for myself, and I don't know if the other committee members want to add anything. Carlton spoke. Chris, do you have anything to say? Okay. You're on mute.
I've been listening to, what you've been talking about, the little, the details about being near the Manhattan Borough President's office and the House of Worship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's something to notice, of course, make note of. But
Right.
I don't have anything further to add. I'm just glad to get this background and have everything out on the table. That's all.
Yes. Thank you, Chris. Okay. I don't know if there are any other questions, Jennifer or Robin, before us, because as I said, OCM, we're in the new year and they're doing their thing.
Sure.
And we're all trying to, listen as I feel like every week are trying to move this whole thing forward, this cannabis train forward. So, only thing I would say to you, I guess you'll follow up or they'll be in communication with you. And, we support legal businesses being established. So we want to make sure we state that. And perhaps you'll go back and then see if there's an okay. Daria is back on. Daria, are you able to come?
Yes.
Are you able to come on camera?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, I can't. No, I'm not on camera
Okay.
yet. I'm trying to keep my phone from dying before I get home.
No problem.
Um,
So Daria,
but
I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Daria.
I
Okay.
did just want to say, in fairness,
Yeah.
very respectfully to Carlton's comment or question, but being proximity to a borough president's office has nothing to do with the criteria. So
Right.
it's, you know,
Yeah, we mentioned the house of worship being
yeah,
there.
the
Mhm.
yeah, and that is it appears to be. I don't know if it's within 200 feet, but it is like on that same block, right? So
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't think there's anything else, ladies. So I would say follow the OCM, and if something changes, I guess you'll be back before us again. And like, once again, we're all learning and trying to do our best. And every time we do this, we get better. But no, once again, as I stated, we are supportive. We want to see people who are doing the right thing be successful. So please know that.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate
much
your
for your time and the explanation. That's much appreciated.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off, Robin.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Very much appreciate you and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. And you have a good night.
All right. Have a wonderful evening.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So I sent a lot of stuff to you guys, and I know that we probably, well, I would love to see us get through everything, but we might not. And I don't want to do stuff quick just for the sake of being quick. I want us to be thoughtful and thorough, so that we are able to have a document that we are comfortable using to help guide us in our review of applications, and just all being on the same page. So let me start by opening up the guidelines that I sent to all of you. And the guidelines that I sent to you reflect, that has a lot of red in it, because this was feedback that was received. And I wanted to get you guys to look at what the original document was, and then the suggested edits for the guidelines, which were extensive. And I wrote in my note to Daria, to thank her for going through it and taking time so that we can have a document that's solid and clear. So I wanted to make sure I said that. When we first did this document, we did it over a year ago. So we were in the early stages before, obviously, there were rules and regulations on the OCM website that we referenced, but that was definitely a year ago. So now we're kind of in a whole new ball game. And so these additional edits that were presented by Daria are probably long overdue, and probably will take time for us to go through. So we can certainly start doing that now, of course, if people have time. What I also did was send to you guys the actual rules and regulations that I pulled from OCM, so that you can see where some of the stuff came from that we used to compose this original document. So that you can understand the context of how we came to be with these guidelines. So with that said, this is the first page of that. Oh, is that the first page? Okay, no. So all this stuff is the whereas and the background for why we were set up to do what we're doing. So there is no red there. The edits that we're looking at are in the area of the guidelines in this section here. And as I said, I don't know if anybody got a chance to even look at it, because I sent it earlier today, but I have it up now, and we can certainly start looking at least these first two pages. And if people have the stamina, we can try to go through the rest of it. And Solomon, I'm glad you're joining us, because there was reference to SLA, and because you sit on the Uniform and Transportation Services Committee, we definitely appreciate the feedback from your committee, welcome it, need it, and hopefully will help us to, make sure this document is in alignment with the things that we're doing already. And even though cannabis is different, if we can show some synergy, then that will make our life easier. So with that said,
Yeah, happy to help out if I can.
thank you. So
Sure.
with that said, guys, can you all see the this page here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay. And the first one here, we have 1,000 feet from an existing licensed cannabis establishment. It didn't have that there obviously before. And okay, or an existing SLA licensed establishment whose primary purpose is to distribute alcohol.
May I propose something?
You may, and I will try to write it in. I'm not the
Okay,
fastest
so-
typist, but go ahead.
And this is maybe nitpicky, but distance. That first line above the one with the first red marking in it. Any application for a cannabis license within Community Board 9 may only be, just make approved, provided that the proposed location is no less than. So
Okay,
as
maybe
approvable, approved.
Okay.
I don't agree, because we still, even if they meet those criteria, we still may not approve it.
So, yeah, but right. So that doesn't change the fact that,
No,
just-
we're saying,
Sorry for background
we're
noise.
saying within okay, so any application for a cannabis license with MCB9 may be approved, provided that the proposed location is no less than blank.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, well, I was just saying change the word approvable to approved.
Okay.
I didn't say take out the only, but yeah. But,
May only be approved. Okay.
Then I'm afraid it makes it sound, that's going to open us up to questions with people saying, well, we meet this criteria and that criteria, then why wasn't it approved?
okay.
The reason I think that it's approvable is that it's stating that these criteria are basic criteria, but it still may not be approved.
Okay.
I didn't put the word in there, but I'm afraid that if we put approved, that it opens us up to confusion with people thinking that, that they should be approved only if they meet those criteria, but there are other things, because it still is up to our discretion. Just a comment.
Okay. Any other comments regarding that
Or
language?
you could say that among the criteria, but okay, got you.
Okay.
I get what you're saying though, John Martin. Approved sounds a lot cleaner, but I think it's a little, I think it opens
Misleading?
us up to some.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the language that was added here in terms of a licensed cannabis establishment, I think that's good. And in terms of an existing SLA license establishment, I mean, that isn't in the OCM stuff. So I just wanted to make sure I emphasize that. But
That is what we
a pain in the
discussed.
ass.
I'm sorry.
A way that you can prevent people's coming back and saying, well, we met these criteria, why haven't we been approved? Is at the beginning of that sentence. You said any application for a cannabis license. If you said among criteria for a cannabis license should include a cannabis license to be approved.
Okay, so
Should include.
I think
the following, but go ahead.
Okay, so you said among any criteria?
Among criteria, among application criteria for a cannabis license.
But doesn't approvable
You
say
can take
that?
out the word any, among application criteria for a cannabis license approval.
Among
Doesn't it already say what we're trying to say though?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Should
that
include
among applicant for a cannabis license within may
should include, but that's okay. I don't mean to mess y'all up. So go ahead.
Well, you took the time to join us, so we appreciate.
John Martin, we're so happy you're here. So
I know.
I mean,
No, we
what we're
appreciate.
doing, talking about, we're talking about our suggestions. May I just say that the reason that I put in the license and the SLA thing is because as we had discussed, we don't want to have a substance establishment on every block.
Right.
So we had discussed that we were going to put liquor stores and cannabis stores like in the same bag to say if there's a liquor store within 1,000 feet, there can't be another liquor store or cannabis. So there can't, you know what I'm saying? So if we don't put that language in there, that technically would mean that cannabis and liquor could be on the same block. But if we include them both, then that means we're going to have space between any of them.
Right. No, I was just letting people know that, the stuff that I shared in terms of OCM, it doesn't necessarily reference this stuff. So I was just putting that out there. I wasn't saying that because I was saying we shouldn't have it in there, but I was also trying to help have our members understand that the initial bones for this is in the document, but this red stuff obviously is based on our thoughts, concerns as a community board. So I was just trying to make that statement. That was it, Daria.
Yeah, it wasn't a rebuttal. It was just I was just explaining.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of red.
No, thank you. So I wanted to make sure I fixed this first sentence and then ask people if bullet 1 was okay, made sense to people. And
okay, so let me dance with you one more time because you got part of it.
Yes,
Among application criteria for delete
okay.
Among application criteria for cannabis license approval within CB9, add the word approval, APPROVAL.
Yes.
Within CB9 should include, there you go, and take out may only be approvable provided. And then you will have among application criteria for cannabis license approval within CB9, it should include that the proposed location is no less than, and there you go. Does that make sense? And does that not trap us so that people can come back and say, well, I've met all these criteria. Why? If you say among application criteria, then that means it's not necessarily all the criteria.
Okay. Well, I'm going to highlight that because that's new. And I guess there's an opportunity just to know what we're looking at. All right. Bullet 1. Everybody's good with bullet 1? Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. Number 2, 500 feet from primary, common, secondary, or high school. And then here, institutions of higher education are exempt. Okay. Or establishment / location with children. So
would a daycare fall under that?
I mean, I believe it could. And we can add
now,
that.
Is that one of those things that are in? I definitely think we should
it needs to
clarify what we mean by education with children, because that could be McDonald's for any.
I'm sorry. What, Daria?
I was agreeing with whoever said that. Does that mean a daycare? I'm agreeing that we need to clarify what we mean by location with children.
Okay, so I can add the language daycare next to the word children. That should clarify it. And I agree
Why
with,
don't we just say daycare then instead of both?
I'm sorry, what?
Why don't we say daycare
Right,
instead of both?
Well, you can put daycare in parentheses.
right. That's what I did. So I put daycare in parentheses. If you guys can see it. Darry, can you see it?
Yes.
I can't see anything. I'm just on the phone.
Okay, got you. Well, once this is done, I'll share it back out. Okay, and bullet 3, 500 feet from a community facility. So we should define what, in terms of what definition do we want to use to define a community facility, which I think is a fair comment. I'm thinking it could be a senior center. I don't know if people feel that way, or a like a Jackie Robinson Center where there could be young people gathering.
To be honest, I think this should be removed.
Okay.
I think it is a SLA, and Solomon, please correct me if I'm wrong, has no
Right. If liquor
mandate
stores can be
for-
on the block with community facilities, then now that prohibition has been lifted, so should cannabis spots be able to be on the same block with community facilities, one would think, or one might think.
Yeah,
Okay.
because liquor stores, they don't card you at the door. Cannabis stores, they do. Cannabis is very highly regulated.
Yes.
They pose no threat to a community facility, like a nursing home or whatever.
In fact, the nursing home might want some cannabis up in there.
Absolutely.
And
Because
they
there are
grown.
patients there.
They're several weeks
It's
grown.
medicine.
Okay.
And it's medicine, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey. I mean, yeah.
I love John Martin.
It has medicinal quality. So okay. What about the other members? Any thoughts, comments? Chris, Carlton?
I'm okay with removing it.
And Solomon.
I do know that the cannabis protocols, they're much harsher than state liquor. So they're under a different, in my opinion, a different magnifying glass, right?
Okay.
So I don't have a problem striking item 3.
Okay, so I'm gonna delete it. Whoop. That was easy. Okay. So
Yeah,
now,
I agree with that. I think it's too restrictive. Yeah.
okay,
I
guys.
mean, yeah,
Perfect.
thanks.
No problem. Somebody's got music on. I love it. Who's that? John Martin? All right.
Oh, that's me. That's me.
Oh, sounds nice. Okay. So we're now up to 200 feet from a house of worship. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah?
Can a liquor store be within 200 feet of a house of worship?
Solomon?
No, it cannot. Oh, sorry. You're calling something.
Solomon?
That's the SLA.
Right.
All right, is 200 feet the maximum?
It says here no less than, yeah,
House of
so no
worship,
less
yeah.
than 200 feet.
I mean, why that stricture? Is that an SLA stricture for liquor stores or what?
So this was
It's SLA and OCM.
right. This was
That's
like,
all. That's something that can't be changed. That's
Oh,
Right,
okay.
that was
Well,
for
if that's from
OCM.
OCM, then so be it. Okay,
Okay.
beg pardon. Yeah,
okay. Well, the other one was in there too. So when we struck it. So okay, 500 feet from a harm reduction facility. Okay. So the comment here, this seems excessive, but if we should define what that is. So I think this kind of feeds back into the concern about it having a cannabis location next to, let's say, a liquor store. I feel that a harm reduction facility is designed to help people who have challenges when it comes to the use of substances. And even though cannabis has a medicinal quality, I think that I mean, I think 4 should stay, and we should define a harm reduction facility. Those are my thoughts.
My thoughts are that rehab, somebody that's in rehab is not in rehab for cannabis.
Right.
Cannabis medicine. It is if they are next door or on the same block or whatever, people, they're not in rehab for cannabis. It is, and we really have to get in our mind. I know it's been prohibition all of our lives, but it is medicine. It is not against the law. It is not a hard drug. You don't go to rehab for cannabis.
No, you don't.
And it would be the same as having a liquor store. It might not be the greatest thing, but especially considering in our particular community, well, y'all, we have a lot of harm reduction facilities.
Right.
And if we're going to stay 100 feet from them, we're going to leave these new possible businesses with nowhere to be.
That's a good point. Did anybody else hear in the news last week that cannabis was taken off of, removed from a tier 1 drug category in the state of New York?
Oh, wow. I did
No,
not. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. What I did hear, John Martin, was that they are looking to pass something where you can grow it in your home. That's what I heard last.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't hear that.
Wow, I think
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
Well, I think that actually adds to the point that it is not, the people in rehab they're not going in the cannabis store. That's not their drug of choice. So to add that, I think it's excessive. I think it's, very respectfully and for lack of a better term, I think we're doing a little too much with that one.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee have comments about this?
Okay, I found it. In fact, it was last summer. On August 29, 2023, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommended to the Drug Enforcement Administration that marijuana be reclassified from a Schedule 1 controlled substance. And I think that request was observed last week, I heard on the news.
So the suggestion was made, but was it honored?
That's what a news report that I heard last week, I saw last week.
I have to do more research because I mean, I didn't hear that. Not that I don't believe you. I mean, it would be great.
Well, I could have been on drugs. I don't know.
You might have been on some cannabis. No, I'm only kidding. I don't want to say anything to inflammatory because we are on a official meeting. So, but your point is well taken, John Martin. Any comments? Thank you for sharing that. Any comments from anybody regarding number 4, 500 feet from a harm reduction facility? Do people feel, once again, that this is something that should be struck? Now, I was going to go look at that document to see if that was in there, because once again, as I said, these things are in here, and I know we didn't make them up, so they came from somewhere.
Well, if I may,
Go ahead, Daria.
just a reminder that remember when you first started writing the document, we actually had that, we had another community board's guidelines, and we used that as the basis, remember?
We did.
So this, right, so this may have been something that was put in, and probably was something that was put in by that other community board. The community boards are out here doing too much, y'all. Like they're having, I'm serious, they're having people go and knock on every neighbor's door and get signatures, getting permission from every neighbor.
Oh,
Why would we do this to like that? That's the kind of stuff that is happening.
right.
And, you know, because people are still treating it like it's a crime and making, you know, people who are trying to operate in a legal space like they're criminals, and making them jump through all kind of hoops. And, you know, very respectfully, some of the things that are on our document, you know, get close to that, like the affidavit, requiring a legal affidavit and asking them for their product list and stuff like that. What other business do we ask for their product list? And what does that have to do with it? It's weed. That's, you know, and it's already, I'm not gonna go on and on, but I
Right.
will just say that I believe that probably came from that other community board.
Well, I'm gonna check this one, number 4, in terms of, like you, the 500 feet, to make sure, of course, it's not from OCM,
But
but
we have agreed to strike it.
I don't know. That's why
Officially?
I'm waiting for other people to comment. John Martin, I wasn't sure if he said yes or no, but what about the other members that are on here?
I agree with Daria. I mean,
Okay,
what strikes me as reasonable, because we're not public health officials.
right.
Um, um, so as to be able to make informed decisions about some of these kinds of qualifications. Um, a good rule of thumb, it strikes me, is you already have in here existing SLA licensed establishments. That's state liquor authority. State,
Right.
you know, when I was a boy, you know, liquor was prohibited. There was prohibition.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Not that old, John Martin, really?
I'll be 103 next birthday.
Oh my,
Anyway,
you're so
I'm
ridiculous.
being flippant again,
I
but
know you are.
but the fact remains that that's a standard that is reasonable. I should think as a guideline. If a liquor store can be in any within 200 feet or 500 feet or 1,000 feet of any of these kinds of facilities, then so should a licensed cannabis dealership be able to be. Would that seem to make sense?
I mean, it does make sense. So I hear you. I don't hear anybody else talking though. You know, you
No, I'm
guys,
shutting up.
My opinion on it is that the you know, I know we want to do our due diligence and we want to make sure that the legal dispensaries are following the guidelines and best practices, and we want to encourage that, right? We want to make sure that the legal ones get through and can establish their business, because if we make it so difficult, then they're just going to pop up illegal ones, as we've seen, right? So you know, I think I'm for making it as less restrictive as possible, and using common sense, right? So I agree with John Martin there, where I don't think you know, we have certain guidelines that we have to adhere to because of OCM, and I don't think we should make it more restrictive.
okay.
Okay, are we still talking about the harm reduction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, but we just have so many drug rehab places in Harlem. You know, I mean, actually we're overburdened with them. There's some you know, there are a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of city council districts that don't have any drug treatment programs, but because they don't want to have them, you know.
Right.
But if you make it 500 feet away from them, where are they going to go? I mean, 500 feet is a lot. Is a lot.
Right.
That's just my, you know, I don't know. Maybe you want to make it a little smaller. I mean, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I have a slight input on
Go ahead.
something.
Go ahead, Carlton.
Yeah, I just picked up on something that's right across the street from us at 445. That's one spot. It's not too far from Manhattan Borough President storefront. But also, I don't know if it's tentatively closed or it's still open, but there is a drug rehab place just past 445, heading up towards the church. And then you have the church. So 500 feet, I mean, if you was to hypothetically put 445 in the space, they would be on the corner of Amsterdam Avenue to give the 500 feet from a drug rehab place who is probably 150 feet from a church, or maybe just 200 feet from a church. So my calculations coming out that is, I think it may be a little excessive because, as stated by Chris Berry, that's a lot of distance.
Got it. Okay. So this will, I mean, I'll go check to make sure this is not something that is in OCM, but provided that it's not, then I wrote it will be potentially strike, remove. So there you go. Okay, got it. Thank you, everyone. Okay, this next one here, and for retail establishments, it was suggested we add consumption lounges here as well. Only the following additional distance requirement, okay, I guess we got to tweak this a little bit. So for retail establishment and I guess consumption lounges.
Just a quick question, Monique. Have we been asked to consider any consumption lounges yet?
Not yet, but we know they're coming. I think
Okay.
that's going to be the next iteration of, at some point, that's going to come.
Right, because I think the consumption lounges have some different guidelines that they must follow, from what I remember in the OCM presentation.
Okay. I mean, I could certainly, with some maybe help, maybe from you, Solomon, maybe we can, I mean, I'll put that in because I believe that's coming and we can be proactive. And if you think you can find that, and I'll see if I can try to find it as well. We'll see how this might change this portion of the guideline.
Okay.
So, okay, so, and for retail establishment and consumption lounges only, the following additional distance, something is missing, distance requirements. Okay, there's a word that has to be added there. I'll think about it, but
remove the word only,
okay,
because if it's both, it won't be only.
okay. So, okay,
I need-
consumption lounges, the following additional distance requirements are, I guess, is something that we'll put here. 500 feet from a park or public space. So here the comment was, remove this because SLA regs do not include parks, playgrounds, or public spaces. Legal dispensaries are highly regulated, as Darius stated before, with security, and we can evaluate on a case-by-case basis. And then how do we define public space in our district? So those were some of the comments she shared in terms of this. So people weigh in.
That makes sense to remove that. Again, we have standards for a formally prohibited substances that we can use in the common sense fashion. State liquor authority regulations don't provide that liquor stores have to be, or bars have to be at least 500 feet from a park or public space. Right?
Solomon?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Again, I think I understand where this is coming from, but at the same time, I do think we should encourage. Our purpose is to recommend applicants that, from a common sense standpoint, make sense to us.
Mhm.
Right? If it's close to house of worship, close to school, it doesn't make sense. Close to another a licensed cannabis establishment doesn't make sense, right? We don't want them have them in clusters. We want them kind of spread out throughout the district.
Mhm.
So I would say to remove 5 and 6, but I can understand why they may be in here, especially for consumption lounges, because the fear is that there would be smoking around the space, and I think that's what they're trying to discourage with this.
Okay. Any other comments? I mean, once again, consumption lounges are coming. I don't know how quickly they will be here. And if that in fact is the case, then there is the understanding why we would maybe have something in terms of language here. We can certainly, I mean, if we strike it, then we would take out perhaps the language pertaining to consumption lounges and deal with it when it comes down the pipe. And then we would strike out, I guess. Well, I guess
I
this whole
believe
section
5
would
and
be,
6. I agree with Solomon that 5 and 6 should be struck.
so if it's being struck, then I guess the sentence and for retail establishments, I guess that sentence has been removed.
The entire thing
There
is just,
was a sentence that was a precursor to those 2 bullets.
right.
So
The precursor should be removed, and the 2 and it should
2
be
bullets.
and I'm sorry, 6 and 7 should be removed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing, noise and odor mitigation. This is something that actually, I believe we added. I didn't highlight it in red, but I believe it was added. Noise and odor mitigation, cannabis applicants shall provide noise and odor mitigation plans demonstrating how their establishments will minimize noise and odor pollution. Now, I guess if it's a dispensary, they're not smoking it, they're just purchasing and leaving. But now, once again, if we get into a lounge situation, then that's a whole different ball game. So, thoughts, comments?
I believe that I did have something there. I
The,
don't see it.
yeah, it's in the area of hours in operation, but up here, unless I didn't understand all your edits, we would be adding, I guess, consumption lounge somewhere in this particular sentence.
I think it should only apply to consumption lounges because there is no consumption at a cannabis store, at a retail store.
Right,
And no noise.
right. Wait,
Right, and no,
okay,
that
so then,
only would
so
apply to
just-
consumption lounges.
And no odor, right? Yeah.
all right, so noise and
Right.
odor, so so this is consumption lounges only.
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to find,
Did I spell? Oh, I don't know
trying to
why.
find.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with the typeface, but I'll try to correct it. Okay. So I put this language in consumption lounges only, which seems to make sense.
Can you give me one second before you move on? I just wanna, my computer is messing up and I'm trying to get back to what I sent you.
Are you all concerned about, with respect to stuff, recently deleted stuff, where you're talking now about consumption lounges, the possibility of secondhand smoke with, around playgrounds or something like that, or places where there are children, what we used to call a contact.
You say, is there a well, I mean, that's a
You
concern
can't get
now.
contact outside.
I mean,
Can't
it's
get
a
a contact
concern now because people are smoking freely on the street. So, I mean, it's not
Okay,
contained.
yeah, okay, you make sense.
Oh, you know what it is? What I said was, hold on, tell me what number that was. I'm sorry.
The number. So this
It
is,
is,
it's newly added.
it's
So
it's the thing about oh, it's newly added, so I never saw that. Got it.
no, I
Okay.
meant this language, noise and odor mitigation. I don't think it was in here before. So it was added
Yeah,
based on your
Yeah,
suggestion.
it was there. And I said, please add for consumption licenses applicants only.
Okay.
And something else I put, I said, no, just a reminder that current licenses are stores only, not bars, consumption lounges, or party establishments. People will buy what they came for and leave, like liquor stores and other stores. It is important that we as a committee are clear about this distinction and explain this clearly to the board.
For consumption cannabis licenses applicants.
Did we skip over the hours of operation and stuff, or
No.
is that at the end?
That's after this. We didn't get to it yet.
And the time listed is wrong there. It should be 12 a.m. like liquor stores.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have it in here. I don't know if it's redundant, but added the few words for consumption cannabis license applicants. They shall provide noise and odor mitigation plans. That's what so in this new section. Did you hear that, Daria?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You okay with that?
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
All right. And like, once again, everybody else who's on, please weigh in. Okay. Hours of operation. So no establishment for the retail sale, delivery, and on-site consumption of cannabis shall operate later than, so originally we had 11 p.m. and a suggestion was to move it up to 12 a.m., same as liquor licensees. So I didn't make the edit yet, but is everybody okay with us making it until 12 a.m.?
I think it should stay to 12 because it going into a new day, they done shut down. They had a full day of operation to see if they're going to be successful in their corridor. And that'd be great just to have it at midnight, right on the nose.
Okay. So there you go.
I'm in agreement with 12 a.m.
Very good. Okay. Okay, good. So under here, which is new, no establishment for the on-site consumption of cannabis shall operate later than 2 a.m. Note, same as bars. So that's being consistent.
Is that the right timing, Solomon? It is 2 a.m., right? I mean, I know they have 4. There's something about 4 a.m., but I just thought 2 because, I know we're trying to keep restrictions on it.
Does it depend on the size of the establishment?
It I think it does depend
Uh-huh.
on the size. That's why it's hard to, you know, kind of equate it with the liquor,
Mhm.
because it's not quite apples to apples
Yeah.
when making these comparisons. I just think we have to do the common sense thing here.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, I don't think the consumption lounges should be open till 2. In my personal opinion, I think they should also close at 12.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm in agreement with Solomon because close of business is close of business, and you can lounge in your own home after the time of that nature. I mean, people has to resume some sort of um normalcy after a day of consumptions of cannabis or any other consumption.
Bars are allowed to be opened until 4. So putting, and as Solomon said, it's not apples to apples, but kind of, sort of, in this case. If you're just selling alcohol and not consuming it, a liquor store is allowed to be open until 12. So that is why the suggestion that cannabis retail establishments be able to be open until 12. Bars are allowed to be open until 4. So that is why the suggestion that cannabis bars is where you consume the alcohol. Cannabis consumption lounges is just like a bar for cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
And the suggestion is that they not be open till 4 like bars, but they be allowed to be open until 2. As businesses, they are businesses that also have to compete with other businesses. Where 2 is giving them a deficit of 2 hours to make money and do business to the bars, and they're also at a deficit to the illegal establishments and the street vendors. So I think if we go too early for them to have to close, it's doing a disservice to them. Just my opinion.
I said Gary make good sense.
I'm reading. No establishment retail sale. Okay,
I
so
can relate to that format.
okay. I'm trying to make sure these 2 sentences. Okay, so first of all, because Daria also says something about this is New York City. Every establishment will be within 500 feet of a residence. Additionally, there are no SLA regulations that require bars to close early. Okay, so we just had that conversation. So I'll remove that because I wanted everybody to see the thought processes behind the suggested edit. So are we saying then
2
that
a.m. Daria's proposition sounded well reasoned to me.
okay, so I'm trying to make sure these 2 sentences are in alignment. No establishment for the retail sale, delivery, or on-site consumption of cannabis shall operate later than 12 a.m. and no establishment for the on-site. See, I don't know if that's redundant. That second sentence.
It is. It's the same sentence. No establishment for the on-site consumption of cannabis shall operate later than 2 a.m. Then you have no establishment for the on-site consumption of cannabis.
Okay, so maybe the first one, are we saying?
Well, no, the second one is talking about the location. But then you have the hours, no, 11 p.m. and 12 a.m.
No, I didn't get there, John Martin. Yeah, I'm talking about these first 2 sentences here. So hours of operation, the first sentence talks about retail sale delivery. And then we say on-site consumption. So I don't know if this is redundant. So I don't know, are we saying that the retail sale and delivery should close at 12 a.m. and the consumption should be able to stay open later?
Right. You should take out the on-site consumption out of the first sentence.
Right. So that's what I wanted to make sure. So, okay, delivery. Okay, I think that's correct. And then this one is consumption, so we're saying no later than 2 a.m. Okay. Chris, once again, I don't know if you're following along, want to make sure you have a chance to weigh in. If you have questions, or else we're going to keep it moving, because I don't want us to be on too late, because I have a hard stop shortly to be with my mom. So,
I got you. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it.
okay, cool. No establishment, next one, for the on-site consumption of cannabis, which is located within 500. Okay, so I don't know if that goes back to that sentence and if this should be, so let's see. Okay, no establishment for the on-site consumption of cannabis, which is located within 500 feet of a residence, shall have hours of operation later than. So then I guess, okay, so we're saying Sunday through Wednesday, we're being very specific. So I guess this would have to change. And I don't know if this is
That is
considered
what we said we were
redundant.
going to strike.
Okay, so we're
That is what we
striking.
said we were going to strike.
Okay,
Because SLA doesn't have any restrictions like that.
okay. All right, so then just remember that the current, okay, so this is a comment. Licenses are stores only, not bars. Okay, so I guess I'll take this out since we're striking a lot of this. Okay, there you go. Now, next one, restricted licensing areas, RLAs. This should be defined further. So, okay, I have to go look up what the definition is of that, even though the letters here tell you at least what that stands for. I'll see if I can find further language.
I
That
think
was
that's something that from the other people. And I especially think that we should not add anything in our guidelines that we don't even know what it is.
okay. Once again, we can certainly, I mean, there's obviously language for that. And let me see, when a proposed cannabis license is located within any existing or future restricted licensed area, to the extent that any requirements applicable within such RLA are more restricted than those provided in those guidelines, but not limited to hours of operation. Okay. I mean, I could certainly look this up, but there is a lot here. And certainly my time is restricted. So, I mean, I can go back and see what this is, but I'm from reading it, and I'm assuming I read it out loud to all of you. I don't know if you have any thoughts, feelings about this particular language.
I don't think it should
RLA
be
is.
included. Know what it means.
Yeah, don't know what our RLA is. Noise and odor mitigation, you already have that earlier.
Yeah, let me see. So I'm wondering if it's in the right space.
There it is.
No, I know. I'm trying to see if it's in the right location. Hours, if it's here, do we need to have it here? Hours of operation, noise. I mean, I can remove it from here as long as we're addressing it. That's what's most important. Okay, here, outdoor space. It reads, the simple stuff is here with the last two sentences, but the comment is this an OCM regulation of not just should be removed? Patio, rooftop, and outdoor space could be very advantageous to a business to forbid its use for cannabis establishments is unfair. Perhaps we should regulate how consumption is facilitated and require smoke mitigation systems, not ban outside consumption altogether. Okay, so that's the comment. And what we had here is consumption of cannabis products must not be permitted outdoors, including in sidewalk, sheds, rooftops, terraces, and other outdoor areas within which the business operates. So, I mean, once again, this goes back, I mean, so I'm thinking as we're talking, I mean, people are freely walking about and doing their thing. So it's not like it's restricted, even though once again, I think one person made a comment about it being treated like cigarettes, and people smoke cigarettes on the street freely as well. So one of the comments is that people are kind of going willy-nilly and smoking everywhere, and as a result, other people are feeling infringed upon. And once again, I think we need to try to find a balance.
Well,
Monique,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
either it's legal or it isn't. If it's legal, you can't stop people from smoking outdoors. Now, if it's a business establishment, the comment, whoever made it about, shouldn't be permitted outdoors, that the comment canceling that out makes sense. To forbid cannabis use for establishments might well be deemed unfair. But I don't know. I've already said too much, and
No,
I
you
want to thank
haven't.
you all.
You're here, we're listening. So please don't feel you've said too much. We want all perspectives. Oh, did Solomon leave? Oh, looked like he did. Shoot. Okay. I think, well, okay.
Can I
Go ahead, Daria.
John Martin, I just want to make sure I'm not jumping over John
No,
Martin.
no,
I've been
I'm
jumping
shutting
over.
up now. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Daria.
I mean, we're happy. I'm very happy you're here. So I don't know if you can see in the red, right above that what I wrote it above that in red under noise and odor mitigation, I believe should replace this whole outdoor business space situation. I think it should be under outdoor business space. I think it should say cannabis applicants shall provide cannabis applicants who maybe we can say who have outdoor space associated with their business shall provide noise and odor mitigation plans demonstrating how their establishment will minimize noise and odor pollution. All applicants must minimize noise and odor pollution and its adverse impact on the community, because I know that is a concern of the bigger board, the board at large.
Yeah.
So I think it only applies to consumption lounges, and I also think that might mitigate some of the concerns regarding using outdoor spaces, because I think it is completely unfair if somebody has a backyard or a rooftop to say that they're not allowed to use those spaces when those could be very, very helpful in their bit. Any place with a space like that, any other place benefits greatly if they have a backyard or if they have a rooftop or something. And to say that cannabis establishment, a consumption lounge would not be allowed to use an outdoor space is not fair.
Okay.
And so I
makes a lot
think
of
they do
sense.
have to provide mitigation. Huh?
Okay.
This is not rocket science.
Right.
What Daria's saying makes a lot of sense.
No,
There are standards that we can look to.
Right.
Do bars and restaurants, are they permitted to, serve alcohol in outdoor spaces? The answer is yes. In terms of odor mitigation, well, I don't know, but do bars and restaurants have to offer
Salmon jumped off
mitigation plans? Yes. Okay, so yeah, then that's reasonable. Odor mitigation, perhaps, but they shouldn't be prohibited.
Right. So Daria, I heard you say to remove the language regarding outdoor business space. And just because we have
Well, I think under outdoor business space should be what I wrote in red, unless there is an objection or an addition to it. I think outdoor business space should and noise and odor mitigation should go. It should be outdoor business space first, and then up under that, noise and odor mitigation, and exactly what I wrote in red, with the addition of specifying that we are talking about consumption lounges with outdoor space.
Okay, well, I did move it under as suggested. And so that language is there. I moved it under outdoor business space. And then the original language of that was there. I'm not sure if we're looking to strike this or modify it, because you were saying
Strike it. That's what we said. Strike it because it's been replaced.
Oh, I was
We're not. We're
on the community. Okay, got it.
Yeah, the original language is prohibiting it, and we don't want that.
Okay, so next, fine. Community engagement and process. So there was a lot here. One, cannabis applicants must provide a timely response to a questionnaire provided by CB9, providing information, including but not limited to details about the proposed premises, the description of the proposed method of operation, hours of operation, and then I agree here, striking product lists because
like you want to know what the products are anyway.
No, that's fine. And then okay, operational plans and other information requested. Should the applicant file for an application for a cannabis license? Okay, so this stuff in red is the suggestion is to strike it. We don't require this for liquor licenses, so I'm gonna take it out. Good, okay. And then after that, oh, sorry, operational plans and other information requested. Should the applicant file for an application for a cannabis license and in parens, a note, this is excessive. Okay, this should be removed. So I'm trying to see what part she's saying should be removed.
All of it.
All of what, Daria?
After
the part after the operation,
after hours of operation.
Okay,
operational.
Go ahead.
After operation, I believe up everything else, and I'm sorry, after hours of operation, and then the next thing should say any questionnaire that has been completed. No. Any questionnaire, no, because that's not. If they give their personal information and their personal finances stuff to OCM, that is not our place. So
right.
I think that it should end at hours of operation.
Okay. And okay, I was trying to see, okay. So we're saying to strike that and then go down to any questionnaire that has been completed for OCM. So it would
No. It would strike any questionnaire that's been completed for strike that. That's not our business. Okay. Whatever questionnaire they sent to OCM is
a regulatory agent. We're not. That's a good.
Okay. Got it. So we're striking that. Okay, bullet 2. Is this required? Okay, so bullet 2 is referring to cannabis applicants shall engage with local co-op and condo boards, residents and block associations, business improvement districts and or community organizations within the vicinity as part of a good faith effort to preserve the quality of life of the surrounding residents, businesses and other local stakeholders. Is this required of any other business owner in CB9? Is this required of SLA applicants? I believe this. Okay, so actually community engagement is something that the OCM encourages, and it's on page 140 of that attachment I shared with you guys, and it talks about being like community impact.
Well, it's good
but
manners.
it's not a
And,
requirement.
and that OCM, what did you say, encourages it? We don't need to be calling ourselves mandating that. If people who want to open businesses in our community don't have the grace to, be community minded and be looked forward to being good neighbors, well, that's on them. But do we, as an entity, is it within our purview to dictate to them that they have to engage with block associations and business improvement districts and the like?
Well, once again, and I know we didn't get to the application yet, but that is something, so you're right, OCM is encouraging that, and it is as a part of their regs. If you go look at
It is not a regulation and it is not a mandate. It is a suggestion. It is what they encourage them to do. It is not a mandate.
right.
And I
And
don't think we should include it in our guidelines as a mandate.
It shouldn't be a mandate, but maybe I think it should be encouraged.
I think it can be encouraged without it being officially in our guidelines. I think that every person that we see, we're going to encourage them. And, the thing even about that, them coming before us,
Yeah.
that is the SLA applicants don't have to come before anybody. They do not. All they do is send in paperwork. And we are making these people jump through so many hoops. And also, as because we've been out here on the streets trying to get these legacy operators, these are people who are, they don't deal with a lot of strangers. They're not civically engaged, because they've had to stay away
They're
for their
used to being
livelihood.
operating in an underground economy, and they're taking a
And
risk
we're telling them
to
to go
come
knock on
before us in the
people's doors.
first place. And we should be encouraging them.
I agree. I support that.
Yeah.
I do.
But we're telling them now they got to go join the neighborhood block association.
Well,
That is
no.
not fair. We don't do that to anyone else.
Well, Solomon,
Listen, can I just say, most of them, will probably try to join the local chamber of commerce anyway, so why? This language sounds like a command.
well,
Shall engage with the, no. I mean,
okay.
you would say,
Hey,
you would just say, you could say, you could just say, your support of the community is welcomed and appreciated, or something like that. But you shall do this. It just seems
okay.
demanding.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Why don't
totally
we just put that at the end as a
recommendation?
That's very good
Okay.
language.
Encouraged and welcomed, and
Right. Okay.
something like that.
That's fine. So are we saying it can stay here but change the language here or move it somewhere else?
I think we should move it. I don't think it should be a guide. Everything with a number or a letter is a guideline. I think at the end of the guidelines, we can add this encouraging language and add that. What do y'all think?
That makes sense, I think.
Okay. Well, we'll put it down
Because
here.
I really like what Chris said. But I think that is after we give them all the regulations, then I think that would be a good thing to follow up with about how we do encourage you. We
cannabis
support.
applicants are encouraged to, not shall, but are encouraged.
Right.
Okay.
Are encouraged to
But
engage.
not here at the end, Monique.
Well, I'm just moving it for now. And then we can figure out where to put it so that we can finish going through it. That's all. So we don't lose it.
What's your hard out, Monique? What's your time?
My hard out is 9 o'clock.
I gotta go now. Thank you all for entertaining me.
entertaining you than you're
I'm
entertaining us.
entertaining my presence.
All right.
Well, we're
all
almost done.
John
You sure you
Martin,
can't
thank
stay on?
you.
Oh, all right, go ahead, go ahead.
right.
I
Fantastic.
have a
all right.
hard break at 9. I do. So this is the next one. Cannabis applicants are, here we go, encouraged to correspond with members of the task force and the Uniform Services Committee. Respond to community concerns and participate in ongoing community meetings. So here's that language right here.
I think it should be removed, but at the end with all of our encouraging words,
Okay, well,
not as a guideline.
fair enough. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom.
What is wrong with my computer?
Girl, your
I'm not
computer's been trying to do its thing for a while. I'm glad that you're
No, I've been on my phone. I'm finally
Oh.
home, but I'm trying to sign into the computer so I can get on actual Zoom, and it'll do everything except click on cannabis. Like I wrote cannabis and then it won't. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I turned it off and turned it back on. It's crazy. Anyway.
So, okay, this next one, number 3, it was stated as cannabis applicants shall execute and deliver a legally binding. Okay, so this is the one I know Darius said we should erase. Binding affidavit whereby the applicant shall, and there's a whole host of things under here. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
probably somebody we can remove in terms of affidavit. Represent for each area of the proposed license premises, the square footage. Okay, and then here,
What do we
okay.
Do we ask other businesses to provide that kind of information?
I mean, once again, I don't know. That would
I
be
don't
something
think
I
so.
would ask
Not
the
in
other
my
committee.
recollection.
That would be something I would ask if Solomon was here. So I can't speak to that, which is why it was nice to have him on.
Okay.
I think out of
I
this,
never recollect our having asked other businesses.
I know for sure it's not because I
Applying for
called
licenses.
Carolyn.
okay,
About the square
I called-
footage, the
I called
capacity, the method of operation. Yeah,
okay,
that's
so
onerous.
okay, I will remove it. I think for this section though, I know we have something here. Agree, okay, keep this section if I didn't misunderstand. Agree to all conditions and stipulations as required by the office of OCM as a condition to approval of the application. So I don't know if that was meant to be a standalone thing, but I have it highlighted as something that we would keep, and then everything else was going to be removed. So this one here, incorporate all the conditions and restrictions into the method of operation included as part of the cannabis license application submitted. I mean, once again, you know, we are referencing back to OCM that people should be following the rules of OCM. So,
And in A, you have that clause.
I'm sorry, what?
And in letter A, you have that clause that attends to that.
Yeah.
That stipulation.
Right. So I don't know if this is just a sentence to end this part. So I mean, I'll leave it that way for now. And then
Leave what?
This last part where we say agree to all conditions and stipulations are required by. So we're saying that the applicant would follow these things that are written. So community engagement and process. 1, cannabis applicants must provide a timely response to a questionnaire provided by CB9, providing information, including but not limited to details about the proposed premises, the description of the proposed method of operation, hours of operation, and CB9 will evaluate applications in a fair and impartial manner utilizing these guidelines and the method of operations approval matrix, which is near the end. We didn't get to that. And then this last
I don't
part.
even know who you are, but whatever that is, where are you? I'm sorry.
Community engagement and process.
Yeah, community engagement.
Community. I'm looking at the.
We're on, I guess, the page before the matrix.
Page 4. Bottom of page 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry to interrupt you again. I just don't. I must be on. What am I on? I'm on what you gave me and I'm going right down it. So after the stuff that we just took off, the next thing says Exhibit A, method of operation
So-
matrix. Is that
Yeah,
it?
no, so we're not at the matrix yet. We're right above it. So we're under community engagement and process.
Right after outdoor business.
Okay.
space.
Okay. We are, but we got to the end of that already, didn't we?
I don't think so. There was stuff here and then we just, shortened it. And we're left with this little
What
bit of
num-
stuff here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please tell me what number we're on.
I don't know if it's so much a number as it is a section. So we're up to community engagement and process.
On page 4.
I am looking at what you sent me. I mean, looking at the cannabis guidelines draft. Community engagement. What is right? Community engagement. I see that community engagement and process.
Mm-hmm.
But we just got to the end of that. We were just talking about keep this section, agree. That was the end of that section.
Yeah, we're
What-
at the end because we took out a lot of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
So what are you complaining about?
I'm not complaining at all. I'm just trying to figure out where we are.
Well, I
don't understand. I'm following along and it seems like we went back and I don't
We didn't go
know.
back. We didn't go back. We're okay. We're okay.
Yeah, we didn't go back. Now we're up to the matrix.
Okay. I'm
So-
sorry, y'all. I'm trying to follow along on my phone because my computer is not acting right.
So
I'm sorry.
This matrix was set up supposedly to help us notate when we are engaged with an entity, applicant, an easy way to look at and just notate things that would be of importance, such as time, hours of operation, as a section. Then we had place. I'm just going to do this quickly, then we can address the stuff in red or try to address as much of it in 8 minutes. And then we'll talk about next steps. I guess this accommodations for lines and crowds. I think that was all under place. And then, so some of this stuff in red obviously was comments, feedback received, which is why it's written in here. So the matrix is designed to have sections, which I just went through. If you're going down, going across, and I know it could be a little confusing, the way this was set up was less desirable feature, because you're using a ranking system 1 through 5, where 1 is closer to less than desirable and 5 is more desirable. And so if you were to tick off something according to each section, you are noting things that help us understand the establishment that we are reviewing, if that makes sense.
It doesn't.
Okay. So,
Not to me.
Okay, this matrix was established, before we had a questionnaire, because we do have a questionnaire. And the questionnaire goes into a lot of detail, and this was supposed to just help us just find an easier way to just know reference points when evaluating applicant. Now, maybe people don't think it's useful, but it was meant to be something quick and dirty to use.
Is it still needed if we now have a questionnaire?
I mean, maybe it's not. The questionnaire is submitted to the applicant and then is sent back, and then we should be able to review their questionnaire. That's the first thing.
I move to strike in the interest of time, since we have a questionnaire.
So that means the questionnaire, when it's received, completed and received back, we should all be making sure we look at it And I think for me, if 5 people are looking at a questionnaire for a person, then we should be able to have a way to come to some, I guess, consensus in terms of taking information and like summarizing it. Does that make sense?
Well, the SLA we just vote. You look at it and then you vote. We don't have a form. We don't have anything extra. We don't have a whole bunch of, we don't have to do a ranking. We just look at it, we take in the information, we discuss it if need be, and then we vote.
Well, okay. I mean, I haven't been a part of the SLA process, so that's what they do. So application comes before them and then they just review whatever it's there and then you vote. That's what I hear you saying?
Yeah. Yes, and that's what we do in full board. We are part of the SLA process every month, just about.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's
It's
true.
just presented, the information is presented, and then we vote on it. There's not all the extra stuff with forms and having the desirability and all of that stuff. It's just determined based on the application and the conversation or any questions around the application.
Okay.
And I think that, again, the SLA is, although it's not perfect, although it's not always apples and apples, it is it's been working since the prohibition of alcohol working, and I'm sure they've tweaked it along the way, but
Yeah.
it is a very good guideline for us to use. And if they don't have to have all that extra stuff, and we proved that it worked, and it works even in our board because we all have been a part of it.
Yeah.
I think that we don't need the extra for this.
All right. Well, it's struck from the document for now, period. So that definitely.
Why is it for now? Is it something going to change?
No, I'm saying it's
'Cause
right now we're talking, so it's struck. Period.
So, yeah, the only thing that occurs to me is that the language of more and less desirable is a little scary to me.
Okay.
So, yeah, I understand the idea of using it as a tool, but if we got a questionnaire, then the information in that tool should already have been accounted for, no?
Well, it should be, and we can certainly address that. This stuff at the end. I'm sorry, Daria. Did you want to say something?
No, my dear, I didn't say.
You didn't say anything?
I didn't. No.
Okay. What I was saying is that these last 2 sentences, which is in the area of encouragement, I mean, we can see how we want to finesse this language if people want to take a look at it and
Cannabis applicants add the word are and a D to the word encourage.
Encouraged.
Cannabis applicants are encouraged to
engage.
To engage with local co-op, and that's a little hoity-toity, but that's just encouraging people to be good neighbors.
And it is
that you're coming into. So
okay. And this other part here, cannabis I sound like I'm on cannabis. Okay, cannabis applicants
for you to say.
That's right. Are encouraged to correspond with members of the task force of uniformed services, respond to community concerns. So I don't know if this is redundant and we want to remove it. It goes into a little bit more detail. Community concerns and participate in ongoing community meetings. CB9 cannabis licensee applicants must actively engage in this process. Okay.
No, yeah.
All right, so we'll strike this.
Well, I mean, the first part of that sounded fine, because then again, you're saying are encouraged, but after in ongoing community meetings, that last sentence about licensed applicants must actively engage in this process. No, they don't have to.
So wait a second here. I mean,
or do you all think they do?
No, I'm saying the cannabis task force and the because we have the task force and the uniform services committee. which is where they're coming, and maybe this is a way to specify. So, businesses, correspond with members of CB9's okay. To correspond or encourage to correspond with members of CB9's Cannabis Task Force and Uniform Services and Transportation Committee. I mean,
That's fine.
yeah, I think that's fine to specify recommendation. Do we want to call this section recommendations or encouragement? Are we fine with the term recommendation?
Yeah, that's what it
Right.
is. It's a recommendation.
Okay,
It's
just
not
wanna
a
make
mandate.
sure.
that is a run-on sentence, though. Can we just? I mean, what later on can we just look at it? Because I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight if we leave that
No,
run-on
that's fine.
sentence.
I mean, I'm
But
gonna share. I'm gonna share with people to go look through it so that we are good with it. So, yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want. We want it to read, proper. So, there you go. So that's the guidelines, which I feel has been like the bane of my existence. And it looks like, we've done a lot of work in terms of tailoring it and simplifying it. I will tell you that I shared the Canvas, I shared with you all also the questionnaire that goes out, that we send to applicants, and there was language that was added. We added, and I can pull it up real quick, and then we're done. We
Well, I
added.
gotta go, but
Okay, you can go then, Jonathan, but I was gonna tell you on the cannabis application, and I'll share with you, we added a line saying consumption lounge. So we had micro business dispensary, so we added consumption lounge. And
nice.
then we also added at the end, community impact, to ask those members that are applicants that are applying, what type of impact do they expect to provide? I have to find the language, but it's in the
I
application.
do not agree with that. I do not agree.
Okay, well,
I do not agree.
okay.
They're selling weed. What are they supposed to say? We don't ask that of any other place. And the reason that Victor had even brought that up was because Miriam mentioned it in the last meeting, saying, for whatever reason, I don't remember her saying this, but Victor thought she said it was in the OCM application. It is not in the OCM application. It is not.
So
And
Daria,
if it is, perhaps it should
I
be.
went through the
so
I
Daria,
went through the entire.
Daria, I just
Yeah.
sent something that was pretty long and extensive that I shared with everybody. And on page 140, it talks about community impact. It does.
Right, but it does not require them to come before the board and say what are they supposed to say? They're coming to sell marijuana. They're coming to sell cannabis. And how would they know? It's brand new. It is, and furthermore, if you look up community impact,
yeah,
it is not what we're calling community impact is not even what that is. If we look up community impact, and I did, that is not. I do not agree that I believe that should be struck. I think it's another hoop for people who have been disenfranchised to have to jump through.
I think.
What are they supposed to say?
I agree.
So what I would say is this. I think that I would ask everybody to look at it because it was suggested, so I put it in there.
Okay.
What I'm thinking about is, for example, how we engage with Happy Monkey, how they were very involved in helping us set up an education event in the community, because they're about increasing awareness and removing stigma. The event that we did with what's his face, Carl, when we did the block party, he wants to open up a business, and he's working with us to help us reach more people and educate people. So I'm trying to think.
Okay, so what they could say about community impact they might anticipate having is that they will help to destigmatize the use of cannabis.
Right. So I
And
think
They may
raise
not
the
even know
profile
to
of
say
cannabis
that,
in the
John
community.
Martin.
What?
Huh?
They may not even know to say that. Like
Well, they
the
probably
two
won't know to
people.
say that. I know to say that.
Exactly. I believe I
'Cause I'm weak.
move that it be struck, and I move that we vote on it. And then, I understand that you put it in there. I understand that Victor had said that based on something that Miriam said. However, like I said, it is not a requirement per the OCM. It might be mentioned, but it is not a requirement. We can encourage them to consider what their impact on the community. Like we can add it that way, but
Right.
to add that in the questionnaire as something that we're going to judge them by is unfair.
Okay.
I agree. and
Okay.
I agree.
So I would say that I think it's important enough that we should find a way to address it and bring it to their attention, because I see it as something positive. It shouldn't be something that puts them at a disadvantage, but as a way, once again, to destigmatize and to work collaboratively with these establishments that are coming on board. So if we can find a place to put that so that we're able to have that, then I'm good. We can remove it from the application, but I would like to see that somewhere because I don't think it's a bad thing.
Monique, honestly, I understand what you're saying, but since we are a committee and we are an official body, I move that it be struck, and I request that there be a vote.
Okay, struck from the application, the questionnaire.
Period.
Okay.
Period. I mean, I don't, Chris, what do you think?
So
I know John Martin.
Okay,
got
wait,
up.
okay, so he got off. Before you finish that thought, you're saying strike it, period. And I would push back and say, I would like to see that somewhere so that we are having a conversation with applicants and engaging
That's
them
why we
in
should
our
vote.
efforts.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why we should vote.
So what are we voting on? Because that's not.
I mean, I don't know. Chris was getting ready to say something.
Okay, now what exactly? What is the language you want stricken, please? Is that what you
The
want?
community.
Yeah, let me bring it up real quick because I put it in the application that I shared with you. And
There's something about community impact, asking them to, in the questionnaire, that they have to talk about their community impact. My concern about it being on the application, on the application specifically, is that especially other members of the board will be looking at that as criteria. And if they don't have a good answer, what is a corner boy going to say who's been dealing on the corner and now heard that he can open a legal entity and he wants to be legally sell weed? Like, you understand what I mean? I feel like it is putting them, Monique, I won't argue that, if we can find a way to put it in the encouragement section.
Yeah.
But I do not think that we should force them to have to answer, because I think most of them may not have, and I'm not talking about these established businesses or these multi-state operators or anything like that. I'm talking specifically about the neighborhood person who is just trying to go legit, who may have absolutely no real experience with governing bodies.
Okay. So Chris and Carlton, if you can still see, and Daria can't, but this application, this
I
questionnaire,
can see it.
this questionnaire is what we've sent and we've gotten people to complete, and I've shared it with the office so that we have it on record. One of the edits I made was adding consumption lounge in this section that wasn't there before. And then the other thing that was added was this section, community impact statement. And here the language is, as an applicant or licensee, what are the benefits that your team will provide to Community Board 9 or individuals disproportionately impacted, including but not limited to blah, blah, blah. So that I know that that's a lot there. The whole point was to see how we could engage. Now, so that's the language that's there. We could change it, remove it, but my thought is that I think that's an important enough point that we include it somewhere else so that we can have that conversation with whoever is coming into the community. Because the experiences we've had, we know that there is that passion there, and some of the applicants have done that. They're committed and they've done stuff so that we can increase awareness in the community.
Okay.
I like your background music as we try to wrap up.
Okay. Uh, well, this is not a bad question, you know, and they can handle it any way they want to handle it. They can handle it any way they want to handle it. It's what is the objection here to that? Or
I was just saying that I believe that it should at least be like the section that you had previously encouraged that we put at the end of our regulations,
right.
the recommendation. I believe that it should either be struck or it should be put there, because if it's put on this application and not just us who are here all the time and who understand it, but sometimes we have other board members who don't know the ins and outs, who, you know, look at it more like cannabis is a drug and all of this
What is the
stuff.
drug?
Well, not it's considered medicine now, and
That depends. That depends on how you're looking at it. Some people think of caffeine as medicine. Some people call it a drug.
Exactly.
You know, what? Come on. What am I gonna do with that?
Exactly. So what I'm saying is the community impact statement for somebody who's used to dealing in civic matters or even business matters. I get it, but
well, listen. Maybe you want to
part of the
simplify the
demographic-
statement. You want to simplify it, or just, you know, can you discuss?
I think it should be moved to the recommendation section.
Oh,
Carlton, you came on and went off. Do you have any comments?
Actually, I'm playing catch up because I could barely see the application.
Oh, okay.
I gotta keep pushing the screen apart and closing it.
Oh, sorry. I can't make it.
You on your phone, Carlton?
I can't make it any larger. I'm sorry. Oh, let me see if I can.
No, it's. I mean, I just got to do a lot of moving around. That and catching up with the language.
Okay. Well, this. I mean, you guys have gotten this before, so there were 2 new things added. I think you're okay with the inclusion of the consumption lounge in question 2. That's pretty straightforward. It's this community impact statement that was added, and basically maybe it could be simplified, but the point was to see how the entity is thinking of how they might want to engage with us. And I know Darius said we don't ask that of other people, but this is not a normal business. This is something that's new. As we always talk about, we are building the plane as we fly it. And it is an opportunity to have somebody think about, you know, these are things that are important. You know, as a community, we want to have a good neighbor. We want to support people.
That's why it should be in the recommendations, because the thing is, it is a normal business, and that's what we have to normalize, is that it is a normal business. It is a normal business. So perhaps we can move it to the recommendations. I won't, you know, push for the striking or whatever, but I think it's just so unfair to nobody else, no other business that opens in our community or anywhere is forced to do this.
Well, maybe you should move it to the recommendation section, and, you know, if you may decide to give greater weight to the applicants who are more forthcoming in how they handle these recommendations, whatever statements they make. Some people may have a superficial statement, but some people may be a little more passionate, a little more involved. You could decide how much weight you want to give that in the application.
I mean,
But
the
I,
other,
but the
go
people
ahead.
are business people. These are business people. These are not social activists. It's not Mother Teresa. These are business people, and so the impact is that they're providing a service and a product that people want. And if you can do that in a place that's clean and reliable, uh, that's I don't know.
So if we keep it in the section under guidelines for us, then I guess then that would prompt us to ask questions to solicit that information from somebody, not in a threatening way. But I think it would be good to have an idea, or it would make somebody think about that as well.
I agree. I think, and I think that it was, in the recommendation section, like you said, it would prompt us to talk about it. And a lot of times, if we're talking about it, we're also asking what we really want to know and giving them an opportunity to answer, rather than because just the way that it's written, I just feel that it might be intimidating to some applicants if they've been only engaged in street business rather than business.
Well, what I heard Chris say, that I pick up, these are businesses. They're moving from, like you said, off the corner to, to run a official business. And so they are offering a product, and they're not a social service agency. But we also know that because this business is so new, it's an opportunity to right a wrong. And it gives them just an opportunity to be involved in the work that we want to do in terms of just destigmatizing the entree of these businesses in our community. So, I mean, I feel if we do it in guidelines, my only concern is that, I mean, I think we have to be pretty adamant about, making sure that we have an opportunity to ask and engage in that conversation. So,
Are you saying guidelines and not under recommendations, or are you saying under recommendations?
under the recommendations section of the guidelines, which I guess we should change the guidelines and recommendations so that we know there are recommendations at the end. I would like to see us ask that, because I think that that is a nice way to engage with the applicant and to hear what their thoughts are. And I mean, I guess if they don't have an answer, then they don't have an answer. And we can, as Chris said, note that as well. We can try doing it that way and see where it takes us. I always think it's better to get a little bit more without being onerous than less, so that we don't have any questions. Even though, we might still have questions, but maybe less questions. But I will remove it from the application, and let me stop sharing, and add it to the guidelines and now recommendations document. And then I will share it over the weekend with you guys, as well as with Solomon and Carolyn, and I guess John Martin at this point. I feel like our family is getting bigger in terms of commentary. And then hopefully we can put this to bed and agree on something to present to the executive committee for February. And then this can be done. And I can move on to the next thing. So anyways, after 9, guys. So I didn't keep my word and I have to get ready to boogie, but I want to thank you. Sorry, this took a little longer, but it was good conversation. And as always, I enjoy your feedback and I enjoy your commitment for us to try to right a wrong and do the right thing. So,
Monique, thank you for your patience and your leadership.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you much, everyone.
Carlton always comes on at the end. He makes me laugh.
Thank you very much. I gotta go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Carlton,
Good
do you
night.
have anything else
Good
to
night.
say before we get off?
I'm cool. I'm just taking it in, and I'll have some answers when I get these documents printed out.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna stop recording Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, and
Good
we'll convene
Good night.
again. All right.